Okay, a quick look at a game that I played today. It was actually one of my first games that I played in maybe 3 weeks. As usual, I was black in this game, and the opening was the Sicilian c3. And, well, let's take a very quick look. White starts with e4, c5, c3. Normally, of course, white will respond with or play knight f3, followed by d6, d4, takes, knight f6, knight c3, a6, and so on. This is very well known, and this is the Sicilian knight off. So, but of course, this is also well known, c3, and the idea is to take the center right away. And there are many ways to play here for black. The most common move is the one that I played, knight f6, but there is also d5. I read somewhere that d5 can annoy people who play the Sicilian c3, but I don't know. I just think that knight f6 is the most solid. But then there is also e6. Let's say, for example, if d4, d5, e5, and it's also looking like some sort of French defense, and I don't like that. Then what else is there? Instead of d4 here, white can also play knight f3. And now d5, he takes d5, queen takes, d4. So there are many variations, and it's completely impossible to go through them all. So, and I don't want to make a opening video so much as I just want to show this game that I played. Not a fantastic game, just one of those interesting ones you get away with sometimes. So I'm playing knight f6. My opponent played the opening move e5, knight d5, d4, c takes d4, c takes d4, d6, f4. Now, when you look at this, it looks like black is sort of pushed back, and it looks like it's very difficult to break up this center over here. I mean, there's a pawn on f4, one on e5, and another pawn on d4. I play knight c6, knight c6, knight f3, e6, knight c3, and here I played this. I believe is actually out of book. So the last book move was probably okay. Why should I play it? I think okay. The last book move was here. Actually, knight to f3 because I played e6. Opening theory gives bishop f5 or bishop to g4, but two moves that make sense because, let's say, for example, after bishop c4 and e6, this bishop is now outside of this pawn chain, the pawn formation, so to speak. So I didn't care so much about that, so I played my own move. So after knight to, let's see. Okay. I play knight c6, knight f3, and e6. And here he played knight c3, queen b6. My idea with queen b6 was simply to, well, first of all, I'm sort of tickling this pawn over here, but also maybe one day I can, for example, if he castles, then this pawn is pinned, and there could be a bunch of trades over here on the e5 square. So I think queen b6 makes some sense. And if he plays something like knight to a4, it's just a waste of time. So he played bishop b5, bishop d7, and here he took. Bishop takes c6, bishop takes c6, castles, and now we can see that there's the pin is here, but you know, it's not. I can't really do anything about that because I don't have a knight on c6 anymore. So, for example, if I would take over here, he can even take back with the knight. So, okay, if pawn takes, then just have takes. And even though this pawn is pinned, but there's no way to do something about that. So, bishop e7, king h1, just stepping out of this potential threat. Castles as well, knight to e4, and here I made an interesting move. I played knight to e3. forking the rook and the queen. So of course he had to take. Bishop takes e3. Bishop takes e4. And I think this trade benefited me a lot because he doesn't have a light square bishop anymore, and he can never get rid of my light square bishop. So even though his king is now on h1, it is now this pawn is pinned over here. So when he moved knight to d2, I just moved back over here to d5. I'll stop this move, knight c4, and I'm still controlling this square and this square, so it was the best move. Okay, I could have played bishop to c6, but then, just like I said, knight c4, also attacking the pawn over here, so. And here we play b3. Of course he wants to put the knight over here at any cost, just to get rid of my, hoping at least that I would play something like bishop takes c4, but I didn't do that. So rook a to c8, rook c1, d takes e5, and now knight c4. And again, he wants me to take the knight, just to get rid of this very annoying bishop, but I didn't do that. I played queen is a6 with 2 threats actually. Well, even 3 if you count this pawn over here. I'm threatening to take a pawn. Notice that when he played knight c4, he didn't take back immediately. So now I'm threatening to take another pawn. I'm threatening this pawn over here, and I'm also threatening to take the knight. And when he takes back, I also have my rook, so I'll win a pawn even on the c file. Of course, taking the pawn on a2 immediately would be rather stupid, because then he would just play rook a2. Rook to a1, and I will most likely lose my queen. So, but you know, it's still a threat in hanging there, so to speak. So he took knight takes e5, and here I took the pawn queen a2, because notice that if he would play this move here, okay, first of all, it doesn't work, because let's go back. I said that I couldn't take the pawn, but of course he can't take the. Okay, let's say for example if I would play after knight takes. Let's say he would just make any move like, I don't know, h3 for example, and I would take this pawn over here, and then I said that he could play rook to a1, but of course it doesn't. That would lose immediately to queen takes g2 checkmate. But that's also what happened in the game, to be honest. But also after knight takes e5, I took the pawn, because even if he played something like, let's say, I don't know, maybe rook f2 or something, then I could trade, or I could even take this pawn over here. And let's say, for example, if trading is probably the best, but or maybe not. I could even take this pawn over here, and if it takes back, just takes back, and there's no way to win this pawn over here. For example, if rook b1, I can just go back, and now I'm protecting this rook over here. Black is, of course, much better. What else? Okay, let's just go back to the game. So queen a6, knight takes e5, and now they take the pawn, and here we blundered with knight d7, and queen takes g2 checkmate. So he overlooked this very obvious threat, but of course white was lost in any case. So I showed again. I showed, for example, if h3, and then just queen takes, and rook a1 doesn't work. So rook f2, queen takes b3, and so I'm up a few pawns. So I would say when the game is as open as this one, white is just completely lost. There's no question about it. I'm also threatening this bishop over here, so I think it's almost forced to take. So queen takes, bishop takes, and again if rook b1, I can just go back, bishop d5, protecting the pawn, and the next I would just start pushing these 2 pawns, and black is absolutely winning. Anyway, so he blundered, queen takes g2 checkmate. Okay, I hope you enjoy this quick look at a game that I played. One of my first games actually in probably 3 weeks. And I think it was an okay game, a bit entertaining at least. So, hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.